as we've seen a number of vacancies filled, who do you think has had the best hire so far this offseason?
Well, I mean, the expectations are obviously going to be off the charts, but it's hard not to say LSU despite all the noise. Lane Kiffin, say what you will about the decision making, but on the field, it seemed like he had the most success that he's had. Post Alabama. Obviously, the Florida Atlantic run was good. Continuing that at Ole Miss, so it's hard to point there. But I'm a big believer in Jon Sumrall. I think he's a good fit at Florida. And seems to kind of know what that fan base needs and wants, talking about offense and the release and doing all those things. And he's a guy that builds his program from the inside out on the line of scrimmage. And the SEC has changed a lot, but if you're consistently winning battles up front, you're going to have success there. So I think he is a guy that jumps out to me as somebody that I think is well suited to have success. And I think some of the comparisons to Billy Napier, I sort of get that. But all that says to me is you haven't really been paying attention to what Jon Sumrall has done. I think it's a very different situation that he's coming into. So I think I'd point to probably LSU and Florida.
And listen, it doesn't happen often. In fact, it's the first time with a coach leaving a playoff team to go coach somewhere else. Hasn't really happened with a starting player. Bo Perbula was a backup at Penn State when he left before the playoffs. But do you think the college calendar needs to change to kind of subdue some of this?
It definitely needs to change, but there's not a common sense change that everybody can sort of get around. If you move the season earlier, you move rivalry week off of Thanksgiving, a lot of people are not going to like that. Chief among them, the TV networks who carry a lot of power are not going to like that. And if you clean up the back half where you move, you sort of reimagine what spring practice is, you de-incentivize early enrollees, you move the portal window to the spring, and you maybe have some summer sort of OTA type of thing, that would help the calendar in terms of the transfers and coaching carousels and decelerate some of the coaching moves. But the coaches want a spring practice, and obviously there's money aspect in that as well, and sort of motivating a fan base, having a spring game, all of those things would have to kind of go by the wayside. So there's not really a common sense solution to it. And again, you're still a professional sport trying to operate around an academic calendar in a way that doesn't really make sense. So the calendar is broken. It's a problem. It produces issues all over the place at every level of the sport, and there's not a clear solution. And somebody's going to have to give. And of course, TV networks and college football coaches notoriously giving people. So yeah, they're kind of at an impasse at the moment.
It's certainly a notoriously giving crowd. You're absolutely right. Speaking of giving, this weekend, incredibly giving of content. You mentioned, hey, the Lane Kiffin hire, ultimately LSU got the guy they wanted who could be highly successful. But watching that entire ordeal come to pass, what was your biggest takeaway from the process that led us to that decision?
I mean, it felt like a lot of decisions that were made to benefit Lane Kiffin and not a lot of other people. Certainly not Ole Miss. LSU probably could have handled a cleaner process. The players that you're playing with, him coaching in the playoff, which seemed to be the central conflict of why this thing got dragged out, it doesn't benefit Ole Miss. It doesn't benefit LSU. It benefits Lane Kiffin. And so I think, to me, that sort of jumped out as, for all the talk of Lane has changed and all these things, some of the actions in the last month seem to point to making decisions that benefit Lane Kiffin and not anybody else that is around him and in his orbit.
By the way, something else that benefited Lane Kiffin, LSU is going to pay Lane Kiffin the bonuses that he would have gotten if he had coached Ole Miss, starting at $150,000 for making the playoffs, could lead up to $1 million extra if they win the national championship. LSU will pay Lane Kiffin. Dude just keeps on winning.